the primary focus is on the placeholders in the two languages. However, I'm still in the process of collecting data. So the primary data is from the Magahi language. However, the process, the forms, and the other syntactic analysis will be same for both the languages. So this is the outline of the presentation. Primarily, I'll be talking about fillers, and then the two languages that I have chosen. What is the typological understanding of the fillers? Its forms and derivations in different languages, the morphosyntactic forms, roles, and distributions in the two languages concerned, its pragmatic functions, and followed by conclusion. So as we know, we have this understanding that filler is a very diverse kind of understanding or concept in itself, and it can be defined differently from different perspectives. So it can be have a very different definition when we see it neurolinguistically or psychologically, morphosyntactically, as it has a form and a particular syntactic slot. Semantically, as a lexical item, it has semantics, right? And pragmatically, as it changes the meaning in pragmatic and discourse. However, of course, for this paper, I cannot take account of all the definition or perspective primarily. So the general linguistic implication would be like, speaker usually when we speak, we might find cognitive difficulties for various things. For example, when we understand the Chomsky's competence and performance, in the performance it is said that the performance is not free from the external factors which actually affect the thought, right? So these factors, the placeholders, or what we call fillers, it helps to either construct our thought, in sequencing our thought, or finding out the word that we momentarily sort of not getting in our cognition. There are some definition in the literature. As you can see, it's also called the word formulation trouble when we, in the process when we don't find the exact word to say at this moment, and we use placeholders. So there are different kinds of placeholders primarily, which is defined as fillers. So why there is a need of fillers? There are many reasons, as we discussed. There can be memory failure, speech error due to the performance, the factors that we discussed. Maybe we have a lack of information or knowledge about a particular topic. It can be a strategic sort of speech strategy. It can be intentional as well. One perspective in the literature which has been used to study fillers is turn taking. So in the Speech Act, we understand that how do we turn take, and there are various linguistic and extra-linguistic cues that we use for the turn taking between speaker and the hearer. And the psychological aspect of maintaining the sequence of thought, both for the hearer and the speaker. So fillers are anything that fills the space or place in the place of actual word or expression, which is delayed for some reasons. The phonological, as I said, that there can be phonological, morphosyntactic, there can be some expression on, on the phrase label that we use for filling that place. So in the for phonological cues, we have some very conventional sound that are used across languages, like These are also called interjective hesitators. Silent is also used as a strategy. As a speaker, you have some momentary silent while you search for the exact word or the target word. Second kind of filler is discourse marker, and this has also been analyzed across languages, not a lot in Indian languages. So for example, in English it is like, etc. In Hindi we have some phrases like tumko pata hai na, or matlab. Also we repeat the, this is repetition, the word. So repetition of the earlier word. So for example, if there is an expression called bhabbe pandal, it's grand pandal, and we are not getting that expression, then we use the previous word twice or thrice, just to keep the continuity. So placeholders are a lexical item, mostly derived from the typologically. If we see that the typological study suggests that most of the placeholders are actually derived from the pronominal forms or the independent lexical item, which primarily means thing, which semantically can be defined as thing. I have chosen these two languages. The reason for choosing these two languages is that I'm the native speaker of Magahi language, and found that in Magahi language, the speech community, they use the placeholder a lot. So the reason might not be that they are sort of all the time looking for the word, a word that is momentarily sort of eluding the speaker. That might not be the only reason, because the use of the placeholder is a lot. That's why I thought that I should study and understand that what is going on. So these two languages, just a bit introduction. So they are spoken primarily in Bihar. When we talk about Magahi, Bhojpuri has more widespread presence. In the literature, I have not found anything primarily on fillers, so placeholders in these two languages. Also, it is very difficult to find the study on placeholder fillers in Indian languages. So I think there is a lack of scientific work on that aspect. So the present study aims to contribute to this body of research by exploring some types of fillers, placeholders primarily, that have received a little attention in Indian languages. The data is, of course, one is my intuition about the language, and the data is, of course, gathered from the speech community itself. There are fillers that I'll talk about, and then I'll come to the placeholder. There are two. You can say that one is the phonological, there is phonological cues where are used, and this is used across languages, and whenever we are speaking, we do use this phonological cues as a filler. It has a psychological effect, definitely, where we try to connect our thought, or we try to sequence our thought so that there will be ease in the conversation. There is also which is a homophonous, which is a conjunction primarily. So the two are used a lot. Sometimes the conjunction is used as a fillers, and fillers are used as a fillers. So there we have to understand the distinction between the two. Usually, of course, the morphosyntactic cues are there, where you can understand then when two objects are placed together, and when I is coming between, then of course it will be conjunction primarily. So these are homophonous, and there is ambiguity in the use, and that ambiguity can be sort of taken care of using the linguistic cues. This as a filler can be used for, and to also showcase the hesitation, stammering, etc. Placeholder is a kind of filler, but it has a more morphosyntactic value compared to the other fillers, as we say, discourse marker or interjective hesitators. They have more of a psychological need. Placeholder is more of a pragmatic and morphosyntactic value. Because when the speaker faces the difficulty in lexical retrieval at the time of speaking, the morphosyntactic category or lexical item used to fulfill that syntactic slot are usually, as it is defined in the literature, are called placeholder. So it functions typically grammatically as a noun. In most of the cases, in most languages, it is the noun which actually or primarily eludes the speaker. But there are definitely, of course, languages where placeholder are used for adjective, adverb, verb. I mean, all the grammatical categories can be sort of replaced by placeholders. It functions very near to the pronominal or demonstrative, where, of course, we know that we can use pronoun to replace the noun. However, the use of the pronoun is very sort of morphological, morphosyntactically very systematic in that way. You have the noun in the background to refer to. However, placeholder is different from the pronominal in those accounts. Of course, as I said, that typologically or universal nature of placeholder, that most of them are derived from the demonstrative or pronominal, and in Magahi and Bhojpuri, like how, who, or ohi, these are actually derived from the demonstrative. There are a few expressions that I will discuss. For example, "Are ukra ka kahte hain," what that is called. Cheese. Cheese is also used in Hindi as a placeholder. "Konchi to halai ho," that is an expression. What was it? It's more like a question that is being asked the moment a speaker is sort of searching for the word. Few examples are there. So if you say that, "Udin hum are ka kahte hain, chandrakala khaite hali." So you see that this chandrakala as a word is a Indian sweet. It should come here. But of course, the speaker is in the search of the word. The speaker is using this placeholder, the expression, the whole expression phrase as a placeholder to of course, keep the listener engaged in the conversation. Similarly, the second expression, you can see that हम थोड़ा सा मिले आई बिहल, एगो चीज लेवल है. So cheese is something that the thing, it is more of the typological understanding where this placeholder is coming exactly from the translation of the thing actually in Hindi. So cheese, and then followed by the target word that is being supplied here, which is reti. So that is something which is, I mean, you need to have, when you're using placeholder, you need to supply the target word as soon as possible. That is what the placeholder means. Again, this expression like Kochila Tuaili Halo, that is an expression which is, of course, holding the place for the object that is, of course, momentarily eluding the speaker, Hasua, sickle, which is the common word used in the villages. If you see the expression, it is similar. For example, how in the discourse the placeholder is important. So, uchizwa lete ailahal ka, uchizwa lete ailahal ka, are jo maragwa mein rakhal hale. So see, I mean, it is taking time for the speaker to find out the exact word. And if you see this wa, definite determiner, it is definite determiner Magahi. This placeholder is taking the nominal feature primarily, indicating the syntactic place that it has. And the morphological, nominal morphology that is taking, it's very dramatic in that way, that the placeholder is not just one lexical item, but it's taking the form and the location, the syntactic position of the word that is being eluded the speaker. So that is something very interesting in the language. I'll skip this part. I'll come to the word that I'm describing here, which is ethi. Ethi is a word that I have used in, I have observed in Maghi that is used a lot. People uses, in fact, in every 5-minute conversation, you'll see 3 or 4 times this word is coming. The lexical meaning of this lexeme is not clear, as I was not able to find out the derivation of this word, so where actually this word is coming from. Either it is coming from some proximal demonstrative, like E or something, but of course there isn't any available sources where I can find out that either it is coming from an object, from a thing or from a proximal demonstrative. I have no idea. But I have tried to find out its forms and semantic and distribution to understand that what it has. Semantically, it is devoid because it does not have. Of course, first it is not used as independent lexical item, so it does not have a semantic sort of in that way. But it is used as a placeholder in most of the cases. So it occupies the syntactic slot, also accompanies the morphosyntactic properties of the word. It is taking the place for, giving a very dramatic communicational experience in the particular pragmatic. So take this example. Aaj chale ke bazaar, that is the first one person is saying that aaj chale ke bazaar, this is a question. Second is saying kahala, what for? Then the question is ethi lavelaho, sukhal nadiya. Ethi lavelaho means I have to bring something. It can be translated as something, and that something is dry coconut. So this is a placeholder which is coming here and taking the place of the coconut. A few examples more like Babua Ethia Laila Halla. I mean, hey boy, did you bring that thing? So that thing, you see, the eyes again is a definite determiner here, which is usually accompanied by the noun in Maghi. So it's clearly indicating that it's taking the syntactic place and taking the nominal morphology. You can also see in this example, this eyes coming here. The main nominal morphology you see in this expression, that Ethian kanne rakhle here bua. Ethian, where have you kept these things? So you see that an is a plural marker which in Maghi, and which of course goes with the noun. So you see this, that it is taking the definite determiner, it is taking the plural marker. So it is indicating that it has all the nominal morphology, letting the speaker or hearer both understand that it is taking or giving the canonical shape of the word which is momentarily eluded the speaker. Confronting the hearer that the word is there. I know the word, it's just that it will take a little time to come. So there are, of course, a pragmatic implication of this apart from the placeholder. For example, you see this, that the example, Hamra abri ego ghadi chahi. I need a watch this time. And the bee is replying that ethi milto abri tora. It means that you will get nothing. So there is this, in the pragmatic, it has the semantics of nothing. However, it is also the added connotation with the nothing and not exactly the nothing. One more example is like, okra ethi matlab hai sab cheez se. He does not care about all these things in a very sarcastic or very sort of disappointed manner. So that is another semantics I have noticed of this word ethi. One of the implied semantics of the word in the above sentence is nothing, as I said, but additionally there is a lot of connotation and emotion associated with that. It has a pragmatic value. As a strategy, it is used sometimes to not use the word which might not be appropriate for a certain context. Or it can be used as a funny way. So if when the speaker is finding the word and using the word ethi, the hearer might suggest something funny, and the whole conversation can become funny. So this is the conclusion. The placeholder projects the speaker finding a word which filler says holding the place primarily. The word ethi fulfills the syntactic projection of the tone rather than simply delaying the speech. So it has a more dramatic, linguistically dramatic appeal. In the nominal morphology, the word carries the information of definiteness and number marking. Of course, I have not seen its use where it is replacing either the adjective, but it does replace the verb phrase, however, not the verb, but mostly it replaces the noun. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you very much.